Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Uncharted Realms Friday Night Blitz. We're gonna have 6 rounds of Blitz coverage today. Coming off round one, we have Oscar playing Dorinthia and Kenneth playing Prism. It's gonna be a lot of fun tonight. And yeah, their players are getting started now. I think that we have. Didn't catch who's going to be on the play. We'll find out here in a second, though. They haven't done any turn sequencing yet. All right, so it looks like the Dorinthia is going to be our turn player, and they're going to lead off with a Nourishing Emptiness. And Nourishing's a really great turn one lead off with. Dominate when your opponent can not have an arsenal card is always good. So it comes in, is able to hit. Kenneth takes 2. And Oscar's going to get that 5-card hand from the intellect bonus off of the Nourishing Emptiness. We have a double Phantasmify turn going into the Prism turn. So we have red and a red Phantasmify, a yellow Phantasmify. So that's a +8 at the moment. And also pop the Heart and the Goliath Gauntlets. And I didn't catch the name of the attack. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Yeah, I think it is a Herald of Tenacity blue. It looks like. And I think that was a total of 15. Yep, so it was a 15 attack on the start. And he's going to block for 3 with equipment. So maintaining his 5-card hand that he got the last turn and his card in arsenal. So this game might be over pretty quick. We have just massive turns by both players. Looking like we're going to go into. Oh, it was actually a Herald of Erudition because he drew cards here. That's my fault. Yeah, let me update that. Yeah, so it actually was a Herald of Erudition into a Prism making a Soul Shield, swinging in with the Wonder with the Soul Shield. Or sorry, Spectral Shield. So that's another 1 taken by Oscar. And then for the last attack here, we have a Wartune Herald. Coming in for 5. So it's a blue Wartune Herald coming in for 5, and he's going to block 2, take 3. So massive 16 damage turn on turn 1 by this aggro Prism. And, you always got to watch out for it. That being said, Oscar chose to take all the damage, so we can expect this follow-up turn is going to be just as crazy by a Dorinthia player. So we have Courage of Bladehold popping off right off the back into a Dawnblade for 3. So 5 cards in hand, 1 card in arsenal. You have to expect a lot of attack reactions coming out of this. At the very minimum, you're going to see a glint, but he might just be willing to hold it and pop the Refractory Bolters. All right, so our Prism player shows a block for 9 on the swing for 3. Very interesting choice. It's always hard to tell. There's a lot of mind games going on. 5 cards in hand is quite a scary thing to stare down when you're against a Dorinthia player. We're going to lead off with the Iron Song response. It brings our swing to 6 versus the 9 block. And now he wants to sneak it out for blood. And that's going to put us at 9-9 and also give the reprise effect on the following attack with the weapon this turn is going to get +1. And then an overpower to add another 6. So that's going to put the attack up to 15 over the 9 defense, which if Yep, so just clarifying, the Alpha Blood Pump is going to be only on the next attack. And it's doing quick math, you can say no pitch remaining here. The Alpha Overpower is an expensive spell, it does cost 3. So just doing quick math to see what kind of follow-up attack can come through. He knows it's going to be at least for 4. The attack's going to be free from the Courage of the Blade Hold activation, and he's guaranteed to go again using Refractor Bolters. So here the Spectral Shield's going to pop as well. So that's going to block 10 out of the 15 damage. Kenneth's going to take 5, dropping down to 13. And he is going to crack the Bolters. Coming in for 4 with the Dawn Blade. And 1 card in Arsenal. So, yeah, it looks like a no. Oh, Faithful Scene. So he blocked it for 4. No counters on the Dawn Blade, but still massive amount of damage done. Well, potentially massive. I guess in this case, it wasn't actually the damage done, it just took the whole hand. So now we're going to see the Prism player try to set up for as long as possible. So we have a Sharpened Steel, a Steel Blade Supremacy, and a Dawn Blade coming in. And that's a total of 3 + 3 + 2, so that's 8 attack coming in. Prism player is sending their whole hand to block, so we're blocking for 12 here. Okay, and the block is good. We're going to see a Sigil from the Dorinthia player, gaining 3 life, putting them up to 7, and freeing their arsenal up to arsenal the card from their hand. Going into Prism's turn, they full block last turn, they don't have one. They're just going to pass back to the Dorinthia player. So Dorinthia on the 5-card hand. I'm sorry, 4-card hand, 1 card in arsenal. Deciding how he wants to lead off here. So we have a blue pitch for Spoils of War. And just coming in with the Dawn Blade for 5 here. So 2 floating, 2 cards in hand, 1 card in arsenal. You have to be aware that there's going to be some kind of reprisal effect going on. So block for 6 on the 5. And to me, this kind of indicates that the Prism player definitely has a couple defense reactions. You wouldn't just block for 1 over unless you were sure that you had some amount of additional blocks that you could do. So leading off with the Stroke of Foresight, he pumps it up to 8. And then the Prism player, Favorite Scenes, bringing it up to 10 block. We have a Singing Steel Blade coming in. That's going to bring it up to 9 from just the singing, plus whatever he searches for. Probably going to see an Iron Song response here, bringing it up to 12. But potentially a Glint. He does have the 2 floating, so Glint will get to draw a card. He wouldn't get to attack again. But if he... Out for blood, actually. Okay, that makes sense. He's guaranteed the second attack, so he wants to go ahead and get the +1 effect going. So since he had the extra resource, this is a really nice sequencing. So yeah, we have 12 over 10, so 2 damage coming across, and then the Dawn Blade resource is set aside, and the +1 from the Out for Blood. We're gonna see a Dawn Blade for 4 coming across. So now we're down 11 to 7. Player definitely got the life totals a lot closer than they were after that first turn. And then we have the Dawn Blade coming in for just 4 on this second attack. It's going to take the 4, giving the Durante player the counters and tying up our life totals here. So 7 all. Counter on the Dawn Blade. We have Arsenal by the Prism player, passing back. It really makes you wonder what was in the hand that they wanted to keep. You have to assume... Oh, and so you have to assume. There's a good chance that it was probably a 3 block card, so blocking with it only prevents damage, but it still gives the player the counter. But you wouldn't want to Arsenal an attack necessarily either. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, see what actually ends up coming out of the Arsenal. But we have a hit and run blue, giving the Dawn Blade go again, and then a Dawn Blade coming in for 4. And here we have a pitch to give the footsteps and the helmet the ability to block. So we have a total of 6 block on the attack for 4. And surprise, surprise, we have a normal attack coming through. Or a generic attack for that matter. I missed the name of it. I know it's a generic attack for 7, potentially 8, if he has less health than his opponent, I believe. I don't think it's out muscle. Not sure the name of the card, but it was an attack for 7, and 6 was blocked. 6 was blocked. So 1 point of damage on to Kinnan. And on his turn, he's going to draw up. He fully blocked from his hand, so he has nothing left to swing back with. Now we have a Warrior's Valor Red and a Dawn Blade. So that's a swing for 6. On hit, go again. Block for 9 coming across. The block is good, so no second attack by the Durante player, and they're setting up for that 5-card hand, hopefully. But they are at 7, so the Prism can't just be ignored. We have Illuminate coming in. So I believe that's an attack for 4, and on hit goes to Soul. It might be a yellow one, though. I'm going to assume it's a yellow one, because Prism likes to play yellow cards. We'll see here in a second when they speak on the damage. Yeah, so it was a yellow, so that was for 3. Oscar choosing not to block there because, again, he wants to set up for that kill turn. He wants that 4 cards in hand, 1 card in arsenal. And since he's guaranteed that there's not going to be a follow-up by the Prism player there, it's a good time to use that life as a resource and go ahead and take that 3 points of damage and have a bigger turn to attack your opponent with. And you have to hope, if you're the Prism player, that he does not find the Iron Song Determination. Because that card is so hard to defend against. Giving your Dawn Blade the Dominate makes it to where it's, if you don't have, your Soul Shield, you really can't block for much of the damage that's coming at you. So yeah, we have Dawn Blade coming across for just 3. 2 cards in hand, 2 floating. Yeah, so it's 3, go again. 2 cards in hand, 2 pitch floating, 1 card in the arsenal. And we've already seen that he has big attacks for 7 in his deck, which normally you wouldn't see in the in the Blitz decks. It's typically something that you see more in the classic constructed sideboard cards. But Oscar trying something spicy out here for the Blitz deck. So we have a block for 9 coming across by the Prism player. And I would not be surprised to find out the last card in hand is a yellow, and the card in the arsenal is their Soul Shield. Because that would give them a total of 15 block, and I'd feel really secure if I was the Prism player. Oh, and we have another. Gotcha. Yeah, so we have the follow-up attack being the attack for 7. I'm gonna get the name of the card real quick. Oscar, what was the name of that card again? What was the name of the attack? Barraging. There we go. Yeah, so new tech here by the Journey player. Oh yeah, jump down real quick to get the name of the cards. Barraging Brawnhide. And if it's not blocked by at least 2 non-equipment cards, it gets +1. So it's an attack for 8 potentially coming in after you give your Downblade go again via, hit and run or Spoils of War. And it definitely adds to the mind games of the Doranthia deck. And that actually was able to clean it up. The Prism player was only able to block for 1, so it would have been an attack for 8 over the defense of 2 from the Plunder run. And that would have been the exact 6 points of damage he needed to take the Prism player out. And so you have to wonder, is the inclusion in the Brawnhides, is that just for a Prism heavy meta? I know that Oscar is playing in Nationals tomorrow for his country, and I know in the past he's mentioned that Prism is a rough matchup, but I think Nats is going to be Classic Constructed, so maybe just bringing in some of his tech from Classic Constructed, seeing how he likes it in Blitz tonight. Seems really good, but that's going to wrap it for round 1 coverage here. We'll be back in a few with round 2. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in a bit. Going on, guys? I think we're done here. Let me just make sure and drop people who are not here. Oh, my mic was muted. Oh, and I'm live on the stream. All right, everybody, we're back for round 2. We have Prism versus Kano. It looks like the Prism player is taking 3 Null Rune and keeping their Vestige. I miss who's going first. We'll find out here in a second. But if you're watching at home, let us know who you think's going to win. Oh, it looks like I had a comment. Oh, I just saw it. Nice. Yeah, Martin. Pulling double duty today. That's right. Barraging Brawnhide, yeah. Should have just been paying attention to the chat. You would have had me covered there. Alright, so looks like we're getting started. Prism player going first. Alright, so we have a Wartune Herald yellow coming across for 6. And it is a yellow in the pitch, I believe. So that is going to be an attack for 6 with Go again. Blocking for 7 by our Kano player. Yeah, it was a yellow pitch in there. So there's 1 resource floating right now. And the Prism player deciding what follow-up they want to have on that attack. Pitching an energy potion to go up to 4. And play a Merciful Retribution. Yep. Just clarifying, the Wartune didn't hit, so it does not go to the soul, but the Retribution is going to have the 1 attack off of the Illuminaris weapon that Prism has access to. Bring that up so you can see the effect if you're not familiar, but it just gives all their R's +1 attack and attack for 0. Going into the Kano players now, we have a Voltic Bolt being pumped by the Crucible of Aetherweave. So Aetherweave activation into Bolt. Gonna be 6 Arcane coming across now. Notably, Arcane damage can only be blocked by Arcane Barrier, which the Prism player only has access to 3 Arcane Barrier. So it can only block 3 out of the 6 right here by pitching a blue card from its hand. And you see here, you pinch the Soul Shield, which you definitely want to get rid of as soon as possible because, you know, other than Nourish and Emptiness, the Kano players don't typically play attack actions. So it's just going to be a dead card that you're never able to get rid of here. Alright, so going back into the Prism player's turn. Prism player deciding how they want to sequence their turn out. They're just going to lead in with the Command and Conquer. Important to note here, if you don't have a reason to pitch, you can't pitch for no reason. So the player was not able to attack with their R this turn because they weren't able to get a yellow card in their pitch. Now, if they had had a card in their soul, they may have been able to activate Prism's ability and use that in order to attack for 1, but then they wouldn't have had the 1 floating in order to play the Command and Conquer. So kind of a moot point in this case, but Kano player choosing to take the 6, taking 8, and it destroys a Blazing Aether, which is a big hit. Definitely happy if I'm the Prism player to see 1 of the 2 Blazing Aethers in the deck are out of the equation. And now we're back into Kano's turn. Kano player choosing not to take actions on the end of their opponent's turn and letting them draw up. So we have a Crucible of Aetherweave activation. And just a Forked Lightning for 6 here. So Forked Lightning has 2 different instances of damage on it, but it's from 1 single source. So you can only use your Arcane Barrier cards to block it 1 time. So here, Arcane Barrier 3 is going to be able to block 3 of the 6 damage if the Prism player chooses to pitch a blue. Which it depends on the build of the Prism. Keep in mind, Prism is typically a mainly yellow deck. So it can be awkward if you have to pitch 2 yellows to block the 3 damage. You're losing out on an entire resource. But because of the way the Kano does damage, you don't necessarily want to take the extra point of damage willy-nilly and end up being within lethal range of a Forked Lightning combo. All right, so blocking the 3, taking 3, going down to 14. And now we're going to go back into the Prism player's turn. And if I'm the Prism player here, I know my turn sequences can get pretty gnarly. So I definitely want to try to set up a 5-card hand. And interesting, here we have a Merciful Retribution, attack for 1. And yeah, so just the attack for 1. Yeah. And choosing not to play anything else, or maybe unable to play anything else, maybe a handful of defense reactions here, left the Prism player in a weird spot. Going into the Kano player's turn, we have a Tome of Findel activation from the arsenal. So they're going to draw to gain 6, huge amount, bringing it 13-14. And now we're going to be playing at instant speed only on the Kano's turn. So activating Kano. It's a 2nd tome. That is huge. Now this one doesn't gain life because it didn't come out of Arsenal though. But it does give you a massive hand to do things. So we have a 2nd Kano activation. We have a Crucible activation. And we do have the nodes being cracked here. I missed that. Yep, so we have the nodes cracked into a red Aether Spindle. And that is going to be an attack for 6. Currently, a Prism player can only block 3 of it, but they do have access to things like Spectro Shields that can block the other 3. But it's not via Arcane Barrier necessarily. So 3 block here. Taking the 3 damage is going to allow the Kano player to opt 3. Still, I believe, 4 cards in hand. Kano player commented, it's not the cards they want to see. But luckily, Op will let you put them on bottom. So, if it's not what you want to see, you can always go random off the top, though it is scary. You've drawn so many cards this turn. Yep, so here we have the lens being broken by the Kano player. It's going to give an additional 2 opt. Finding a card he actually wants, so Kano into a Gaze. Gaze is kind of a free spell here, in the sense that when you play it off the top, if you've played another wizard card, it comes back to your hand. So that's going to give him another opt for 2 and the blue in order to activate Kano again. Looks like a Stir was hit off the last Kano activation, and that's going to be huge. Okay, and so here we have a red Stir for 2, for +3, and then a Sonic Boom using the last 2 floating. That's another 6 coming in. Only 3 of it can be blocked, and on damage, 3, the top card's going to be revealed, and it's going to cost less, equal to the amount of damage taken here. So if it takes the 3 damage, the top card will cost 3 less, which I believe every card in the wizard deck costs 3 or less. So it should be just flip over the top card if it's a wizard card, cast it for free. So we'll see what happens here in a second. So he is choosing to block the 3. Going down to 8. Oh, this is pretty huge. Yep. So we have a lessons coming in for 3. If it hits, he would have got a search, but he does have another blue. Oh, actually, I think that was a red and a yellow. Yep, so blocking out last attack, leaving no cards in hand. Oh, wow. It has... I actually don't have the mentors in my program, but we have our first mentor activation on stream, I believe, actually. So we have a librarian flipped over. And then we have on his opponent's turn, no cards in hand. He's going to go ahead and Storm Strider. And Crucible activation. And then Fork Lightning coming in for 6, taking him down to 2. And then because he played a non-attack action, he gets to play a Snapshot coming in for another 3. And with no cards in his hand, not much the Prism player can do here. That's going to be the 3 points of damage to finish the match up. Yeah. And yeah, Kano just showing you, even in top card nourishing, lame. Yeah, that would have been great. Actually, if top card had been nourishing and just end the chain, but it was not. It was still pretty good. Lessons. I mean, the lessons didn't hit, but lessons definitely a scary one. But that's gonna wrap it for round 2 coverage, and we'll be starting round 3 here shortly. It might be a little bit of a time. That was a pretty fast match by the Kano player, comboing off pretty quick. But we will be back for round 3 here in a bit, and thanks for coming. And I almost did it again. I almost did the entire round with the mic muted. Look at me. I learned to look down and check, though. So, welcome to round 4 coverage of Uncharted Realms Armory Blitz. We're already in the turns, so I'm going to go ahead and go. Turn 1, not a lot of action. Going into turn 1 by the Dorinthia player, we have a Warrior's Valor, yellow, into a Dawnblade swing. Actually, that might have been red, because he said swing for 6. So it's a red Warrior's Valor into a Dawnblade swing. And Reinar deciding how they want to block here while he's doing that. But yeah, this is Uncharted Realms Friday Night Armory Blitz. If you're watching this on the VOD, definitely hop in the Discord. We'd love to have you in our future events. We do them every Friday night and Sunday afternoons. That's Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time right now for Blitz, and Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern Time for Classic Constructed. Reinar player's still in the tank, so you have to think they must have some spicy cards. Especially when you see him throwing the armor out already. So, block of 6 coming across. And the Reinars don't play defense reactions typically. Typically, the only defense reaction they play is Reckless Swing. They tend to save it for if they ever get their opponent down to 2, they can just full block the entire game till they draw it and finish the game out that way. But we have a Singing Steelblade coming out by our Dorinthia player. Gonna get to search their deck for an attack reaction and play it this turn. Just gonna get the one that's free. So that's gonna be Iron Song response. Just adding another 3 on top of that. So 10 total against the 6 block. It's gonna be 4 damage coming across. And we'll see here if because the damage happens, that's on hit, has go again. So Warrior's Valor giving the attack go again. Probably going to see a second attack here, potentially. Potentially a pitch, Rage Forge Bracer activation, and a Dawnblade attack. Deciding if he wants to use it, though, so it makes you wonder what the card he has there is. Potentially an Iron Song Determination, which is always a card that you don't necessarily want to pitch. Choosing an Arsenal here, though, so denying himself the ability to potentially gain a counter, you have to think that has to be a pretty good card. We'll see. Keep an eye on that Arsenal and see what comes out of it here in a bit. Going into Reinar's turn, the 3-card hand. Typically with Reinar, you want to have these big 5-card hands, but in this case, looks like he's going to go off with it anyways. So we have a Barrage and Beatdown. And the game plan for the Reinar is typically you want to string together 2 to 3 Intimidates so that your opponent's not able to block. So then go ahead and pop his armor pieces. So the Heartstrap going to make his attack cost 2 less. The Goliath Gauntlets going to add 2 power to it. And he's going to play Alpha Rampage out of hand. So that's going to be Intimidate off of Alpha Rampage. And then the Massacre Massacre's effect is also going to trigger, as well as Reinar's effect. So that's 4 Intimidate this turn coming across. And it's a base of 9, plus 2 off the Gauntlets, and plus 3 off the yellow Barrage and Beatdown. It's going to be a total of 14 attack. 14 attack. And all 4 cards out of the Dorinthia player's hand being Intimidated. So all he has access to here is armor. And he's only choosing to block with the boots. And that is a spicy choice here. Yeah. So taking 13 here, choosing not to use his chest piece or his armor piece to block here. And we'll have to see how that pans out later on. It's a choice you don't typically see him make, but I can see. All right, so 13 going into during the player's turn. It says lean off with a Steelblade Supremacy, pitch in blue. And if it was the Iron Song Determination in that arsenal, you'd think he'd just snap play it out here. So Looks like I was wrong on it being determination. Wonder what it could be there. But going just into a Dawn Blade, currently for 5. So 5, no go again currently. On hit, draw a card. 2 cards in hand, 2 resources floating. Or, sorry, 1 resource floating. It was a blue pitch, and 2 of them have been used. So swing for 5, 1 resource floating, 2 cards in hand, 1 in arsenal. Right, our player doing some quick math, trying to figure out what the possible blocks are. Durinthia is traditionally a nightmare to decide how to block against, unless you've actually played the deck. The sequence is you're just scared of how much are they going to pump, if they're going to pump at all. Do they have a bad hand? Do they have a god hand? And every block feels like a roll of the dice. Yep, still in the tank here. I'm interested to see. I part of me likes the decision by Oscar to not block with the chest and armor or chest and arms here on that last turn, leaving him access to it in the future turns if he has a big intimidate turn. The other part of me also sees that as on those future turns, if you block now or block later, it's still the same amount of life protected. Clarifying question by the brute player on how Refractor's bolters work. So just clarifying that the Dawn Blade does have to hit in order for the bolters to be cracked. So Reinhardt deciding they're going to block for 10 on this attack for 5. And going back to the boogeyman that is Dorinthia. It easily could have been overpowered to go up to 11, but it looks like he doesn't have it. It's just going to be a red sigil by the Dorinthia player, gaining 3 life and going up to 10. And then an Arsenal and pass. Going into the Reinhardt player's turn, just going to play an energy potion and pass turn back. So setting up for a massive turn in the future here. Energy Potion playing the role that their chess piece played in their prior big turn by, just banking those resources for that turn where you do get the 3 or 4 intimidate hand and can just guarantee that damage coming across on your opponent. Into the Dorinthia player's turn, currently deciding how they want to lead off. They do have a 4-card hand with a card in the arsenal. So yep, so here we have the Courage of Bladehole being popped. And that's going to make all of their attacks this turn free. Yeah, and so here this is kind of what I was afraid of with choosing not to block with Courage on that first big swing. By doing so, you lose access to this 2 armor that you could have blocked with it and then destroyed it later. So we'll see if that 2 armor makes a difference later on. But for now, we have the Dawn Blade just coming in for 3. No pumps, no reactions being played. Just 3 coming across. Oscar going to go ahead and pop his Refractor Bolters to give it a go again. Refraction Bolters, giving it a go again. And I'm not sure 13 coming in. Okay, so he came in for the second attack for 3. Sorry, missed the statement of that. But so attack for 3 coming in and a block for 9. So we have a red overpower, pumping it up to 9, and a out for blood, pumping it up to 12, and 3 going across. And if I'm Oscar, I'm pretty excited to see my opponent use most of their hand to block. This is where I was talking about last round. Fortunately, my mic was muted, but these claws for 3, they seem safe, right? It's just an attack for 3. You'd rather keep your hand. But because of the playstyle of the Reinhardt deck, these attack for 3 can be the difference between winning and losing later on in the game. If you take this 3 points of damage and then get that 3 or 4 Intimidate hand, you know, you could be looking at exactly lethal. And so you're heavily incentivized to block these claw attacks just to be on the safe side. Against Rhino, you want to conserve as much life total as possible, because there are going to be turns where you're just unable to block, and you're going to want to be as healthy as possible. But Oscar choosing to take the 3 here. And to be fair, he does have a counter on his Dawnblade here. So, you know, if you're going to be swinging back, Justin is at 10. He is in lethal range, right? So it's not always a clear-cut decision of, you know, is it right or wrong to take the damage? You have to look at your hand and decide, am I going to be able to swing the tempo in my favor? Am I going to be able to have Reinhardt on the back foot the rest of the game? And if the answer is no, you better be blocking. But it looks like our Durant players attacking for 4. We have a block for 2 coming across. The Durant just activating Glint. So that's going to give the attack go again and allow them to draw a card. And like we mentioned before, this Durant list is spicy and is playing some attack actions. So this go again here can either be a second swing of the Dawnblade, or it can be a massive 7 or 8 damage generic attack. Yeah. So just clarifying how exactly the standard sequence for the Durant works. So going over the fact that the Dawnblade does have go again here, so he will be able to do another action after this attack no matter what. But that, in order for him to swing with the attack again, the blade itself actually has to hit to trigger Durant's ability. And so here we go. This is one of the only defense reactions that the Reinhardt has access to. So it's a reckless swing. So it's going to deal 2 damage because it forces a random discard. If that discard is a 6 or more, it is 2 damage to the attacking player. Yep. So this is going to add 4 to the block on itself. So that brings it up to 6. And it's going to activate the rear guard ability, rally the rear guard. And by discarding a card, it's going to add an additional 3 block. So it's going to be a total of 9 block on the attack of 4 currently. And Rally the Rear Guard, definitely an interesting choice in the Reinhardt. I like the ability to kind of have a defense reaction style card by adding block to a block to the defending card. But here we have the route coming across, so that is going to bounce. And here's the dangerous part: bounce a single card, because the rally, the rear guard, is a single card. He's going to get to bounce that back and pump his attack. So 7 attack coming up, losing 5 defense. So currently it's going to be 3 going over. So Justin's going to take the 3, drop down to 7. And then and then just coming across with the Dawnblade again for 4. And Justin just going to be taking it, dropping down to 3. And Dawnblade is going to be the second counter. And that's never what you want to see. It means it's attacking for 5 at its base. So here the runner player choosing just to get aggressive, just to apply some pressure, because the last thing you want to do is pass to your opponent with 3 health and they have a full grip. So here he's swinging it for 6. His opponent is at 5, so he has to block here. Get that card up on the display for you. There you go. Swing for 6. Pop the energy potion in order to play that. Because he had no cards in hand, he had fully blocked on the prior turn. but had the card routed back to his hand. And he could have replayed the block into the second attack, but it would have only been blocking 2 of the 4 damage. The Dawnblade was going to get a counter either way. So I like the decision here to keep the attack back and use it as a pressure on his opponent's life total and force some amount of cards out of their hand. Yep. Okay. And Oscar is choosing to block 3, take 3, dropping down to 2. And he says he's going to take the gamble. And the gamble here, and we talked about it a little bit earlier, is that reckless swing. A lot of times what the Brute will do is they'll set up, get their opponent down to 2, and then just fully block the rest of the game until they draw their reckless swing, and they use that in order to finish the game out. But we do know that the Dorinthia player plays the sigils, so they will be able to gain some life back if they draw them in time. I don't remember if they played a sigil yet this turn. But here we have a Nourishing Emptiness coming in for 6 with Dominate. So this is going to be hard for the Reinhardt player to block. And this might be why he decided to take the damage last turn. This turns off the Arcanine Skullcap. So otherwise it would have had 1 block off the Skullcap, 1 block off the leggings, and still 3. So it still would have came in for at least 1 point of damage and triggered the effect. But it looks like the Dominate is actually going to wrap it up. He can only block for the 3. He's already blocked the leggings. And so that's going to be the last 3 points of damage that he needs to wrap the game up. And that's going to be a win for the Dorinthia player here. And just checking to see where the reckless swing was at. It was in the next hand. So definitely if he could have survived this turn, he would have been able to draw the reckless swing and finish the game out. But sometimes you got to gamble for it. Sometimes you got to realize that, if you don't go for it now, you may not get another chance. And that's what our Dorinthia player chose to do here. So that's going to wrap it up for round 4 coverage. Thanks for tuning in. If you're watching this on the playback, the VOD, definitely hop into the Discord. We'd love to have you. We do events every Friday at 8 p.m. currently and Sunday at 2 p.m. It's Armory Blitz on Friday. And it's a Classic Constructed Armory event on Sunday. So definitely hop in and play. Or just tune in for the coverage if you like what you see, and throw us a like. Hit that subscribe button. But I'm gonna go and get the next round ready. So we will be back shortly with round 5, and we'll see you then. What's going on, everybody? We're back for round 5 coverage of Uncharted Realms Friday Night Armory Blitz. It's round 5 of 6. We'll have one more round after this one. And for this round, it looks like we got Dorinthia versus Ira. I believe the Ira player is going to be playing first. And our players are ready to go. Yeah, let's see how they started off. We've had some spicy turn ones today in our coverage. A lot of big hits. We'll see if this is the case. Not typical for the Ninja to come out with a crazy turn one, but we'll see what he can string together here. Got a red Heron Flight pitch coming with a Kadachi for 1. That's pretty rare that you see the 0-drop red being pitched to pay for a Kadachi, but again, it's turn 1. You want to cycle cards out, and that card's not necessarily the one you want to defend with when you're going into the Dorinthia player's combat on the following turn. So definitely like the cycling of that card effectively by just swinging in with the Kadachi. No blocks from the Dorinthia player, dropping down to 19. And now the Ira player deciding what else they want to pitch. So we have the second Kadachi coming across for 2. And it was another red pitch. So we might be looking at an aggressive Ira list here. You typically don't see so many of the red 0 drops. Whelming Gustwave being one of the combo pieces that is atypical in the defensive Ira deck list that I'm used to seeing. Perhaps the meta has shifted a little bit and I'm just not keeping up, but definitely something surprising for me to see. More of a classic constructed style deck list to see those. And yeah, just going to go ahead and arsenal and pass after that. So drawing up 3 cards, and that Kadachi was blocked for 3, so no damage on the second Kadachi swing. And now we're into the Dorinthia player's turn, leading off with a red sharpening steel, and attacking with the Dawn Blade for 6. 1 resource floating, 2 cards in hand. And the Ira matchup, always an interesting one when it comes to the Dorinthia, because Flick-Flack making your second attack block for extra can really make the second Dawn Blade swing just feel pretty lackluster when you're, without committing an additional card from your hand, at most going to be swinging for 4, maybe 5, if you get an Out for Blood and a Brave Forge Bracers pump on the second Dawn Blade swing. And the Flick-Flack being able to add defense to your combo cards and making a base defense of 5, it really makes for awkward turn sequences. But here we have a block for 6 on the attack of 6, and an Out for Blood, Iron Tongue response coming in to pump it up to 9. So that's going to be 3 damage coming across. And that's going to give Refraction Bolters the ability to activate, because the Dawn Blade did hit, to activate Dorinthia's ability to allow the Dawn Blade to swing again. And then we're going to have a Brave Forge Bracers activation, pumping the Dawn Blade, and the second attack of the Dawn Blade coming in for 4. Now, still 2 cards in the Ninja player's hand and 1 card in Arsenal, so do not expect this attack to hit. But if your opponent had the defense reactions, you would have anticipated they would play them on the previous attack and prevented you from coming in a second time at all. So here we have a block for 4 using an armor piece and a card that blocks for 3 from hand. And so that leaves the Ninja player with 1 card in hand, 1 card in arsenal going into their turn. And no second hit for the Dawn Blade, so no counter. And going into the Ira player's turn, they're going to choose just to draw back up. No attacks, no pitches. Really makes you wonder what that 4th card in their hand was that they chose to keep. So here we have a Warriors Valor red. Pumping the Dawnblade by 3 and on hit, giving the Dawnblade go again. And then Dawnblade coming in. Attack for 6 again. 1 resource floating, 2 cards in hand, 1 in the arsenal. And this is where the mind games get pretty rough. If you're defending against the Dawnblade and you're not playing a lot of defense reactions, which I think the deck list that we're currently looking at for the Ninja is an aggressive one, not playing the more fatigue style that you're used to seeing. I don't think he has a lot of defense reactions, but here we do have the flip facts coming in. So that is a block for 6, or sorry, no block, and then a flick flag coming in. So it's a yellow flick flag during the defense step, 3 damage hitting. Because it hit, it has go again, and because of Dorinthia, it can swing again. So we're going to see a second Dawnblade attack coming across for 3 here. And this one, if it hits, is going to trigger Dawnblade's ability to add a counter. And if you're playing against Dawnblade, you never want to allow them to get that counter here. So interesting enough here, he's going to block for 2 of the 3. And the Dorinthia player is going to add a red overpower to it. That's going to pump it all the way up to 9. And that's going to be 7 damage taken by the Ninja player. Dawnblade's going to get a counter. It's unfortunate that the Ninja player did not have a combo card to block with, or chose not to block with a combo card. We'll have to see here. They did. There's 2 cards out of their hand they block with. They have 2 cards remaining. So here we have a going to the eye replay turn, Harden's card strap being broke. Pitching a blue flick black. He's going to come in with a Kadachi for 1. And the crush strap ability, he pops it before the Kadachi swing, so he does not break the combat chain when he's comboing off. So here, the Kadachi is going to hit for 1. They swing in with the second Kadachi for 2. The Dorinthia player is going to block for 2 using the armor chest piece. We have a Razor Reflex coming in to pump over the top. So that is 5 on the 2, so 3 damage coming across the Oscar. And maintaining the hit chain that the Ira player is hoping will hit and allow the Mask of Momentum to trigger. So we have a Flying Kick. Because it is the 3rd attack in the chain, or higher, it's going to have +2, so it's going to be an attack for 7. It was free to cast because the Hardened Cost Straps made it cost 2 less. And since the first 2 hit, we do have a potential mask trigger on this hitting. Now, important to note, the combat chain has not been broken, so that chess piece will not be able to block again here. And Oscar does have more life than his opponent. So currently, the headpiece and arms would block for 3, and then Oscar would have to either commit 2 cards out of his hand or have a defense reaction in order to block all 7. So that's what we see here. We have a double block plus the bracers. So that's a total block of 8 on the 7, denying the Mask of Momentum draw trigger. And all in all, if I am the Dorinthia player, it's still 2 cards in hand, still a counter on my Dawnblade. I'm fine with that. I don't need to, or my turn's already going to have so much pressure on it. Oh, especially now. So here, we see the Courage of Blade Hole being being activated. That's going to make all of the Dawnblade swings this turn free. Yep. So just clarifying the effect there. And then it's going to come in with the Dawnblade for 4. And that Dawnblade being on 4 really changes the math here. Typically, a Dawnblade swinging for 3, a typical card from a class blocks for 3. So typically, you're able to break parity in that sense. All the pump cards for Dorinthia, for the most part, are 3, with the exception of Overpower and Singing Stillblade, being able to fetch a card in addition to the +1 it provides. So this one counter makes all the difference in how you have to declare blocks. And so here we have a block for 3. Now, that being said, Ninja player is able to play around the 4 a little bit better, typically, because they do have access to a lot of defense reactions in the fatigue build. But it looks like this is an aggressive build, so maybe only flip flacks they have access into in this aggressive style of IREP. So he's only blocking the 3. We have a Glint activation from the Durante player. They get the draw card and give the Dawnblade go again. And then we have a Overpower as well. Yeah, so little clarification being asked for by the players. I'm gonna hop over there and make a quick ruling. I'll be right back to the stream. Yeah, so just clarifying the way that attack reactions work here. And so, yep, that's going to be 7 damage coming across. Unfortunately, Tyre did not have the defense reaction to play it, to defend against it. And that's going to be the game, unfortunately, for the Ninja player. And that's going to wrap it for our round 5 coverage. We'll be back soon for the prize randomization, and immediately after that, we'll have round 6 up. Again, if you're watching the VOD and you want to play in our events, definitely hop into the Discord. We'd love to have you. We do events every Friday at 8 p.m. and Sunday at 2 p.m. We do Armory Blitz on Friday and Classic Constructed Armory on Sunday. And we'd love to have you. And I will see you guys shortly for the prize randomization and round 6. Hey, what's going on, everybody? About to do the prize randomization for today's event. Had 11 players playing in tonight's Armory Blitz event. Take this row out. Don't need that one. And so we are going to roll a dice to see how many times we're going to randomize the list. We're going to randomize the list that many times. I'm going to give everyone just a minute to hop in to the live stream in case an ad plays before we get started here. Yeah, been a pretty good night tonight. Had a lot of explosive turn ones on stream. It's been a lot of fun to do the coverage for it. Give everyone just another second here. All right. So yeah, we're gonna roll the dice and then we're gonna randomize the list to see top 8 names. So we get to pick in order from this month's prizes. So I'm gonna roll this dice now. Looks like we're gonna randomize the list 10 times tonight. So this timestamp into the chat. And let's see who gets it. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and lucky number is 10. 10. These are going to be our 8 winners for today. Look at the pick in order. And we will be right back with round 6 coverage. So stay tuned. All right, guys, and we're back for the final round of our Friday night Armory Blitz event. It's been fun tonight. I've been having to man the display and do the commentary at the same time. I'm getting the hang of it, getting a little bit better at it. Usually we got Brent here doing a little bit better job at the commentary, so don't judge me too harshly. Come back next week. Hopefully he'll be back. Right now he's playing at Nats. He made day 2, so that's super exciting. Got a member of the team going into day 2. See how it finishes up tomorrow. But for this match, looks like we're going to have Dorinthia versus, I think it was a Prism, but I think his camera just went away. Let's see, it's coming back up now. There we go. Yeah, it is a Prism. So Dorinthia versus Prism. A lot of Prism players tonight. Got the big hits. It should be extra spicy because we know from previous rounds that Oscar is playing some spicy generic attacks in his deck that do break Phantasm. So we'll see if that comes into play this round. I'm sure it will. So it looks like the Prism player is going to be on the play, I believe. Leading off, pitch into yellow. So we had a blue Rebirth coming in for an attack for 5. And a block for 6 by the Dorinthia player. No damage coming through. And just an Arsenal pass by the Prism player. So drawing 3 cards. And going into the Dorinthia player's turn. Dorinthia leading off with a Nourishing Emptiness. Always a great attack to have in your opening hands. So 6 Dominate coming in on hit. Gain an intellect on the turn, and no blocks. Moving to reactions by the Prism player suggests that we're going to see a Soul Shield here, and that's exactly what happens. Soul Shield blocking for 6, preventing that dangerous intellect gain effect by the Nourishing Emptiness. And just an Arsenal and draw up by the Dorinthia player. Finish the turn out, going into Prism. We have deciding how they want to pitch here. We have a yellow Herald of Rebirth coming in for 6. And a yellow was pitched, so it does have go again. This opponent asking to clarify, does it have Phantasm? Yeah. And just asking if it has Phantasm, yes. Yep, so he does have the 7 attack to block and break the Phantasm. His opponent choosing not to activate Footsteps. I don't think they actually had another card in hand to pitch for it, so unable to activate Footsteps, really. It's kind of a moot point, but that is a one card block, where typically it would have to be a 2-card block. So it is still an advantage for the Dorinthia player being able to have that 7 attack defend against the Phantasm. But the Dorinthia player was deciding if they wanted to play the Courage of Bladehold ability this turn. So you have to think they must have a spicy hand. Or maybe just a resource light hand, and they're trying to maximize damage and maintain the tempo. Opted not to, so we have a Dawn Blade for 3, swing, and a red pitch. And like we said, it seems either they had a good hand or they had a hand full of reds, and it looked like it was the latter. So no blocks coming across, just the 3, and the Dorinthia player deciding if they want to add anything to the attack. A lot of times you won't see them add anything because most cards have reprise, and they need your opponent to defend in order to get their secondary bonuses. So no blocks, 3 damage coming across. Oscar's going to go ahead and crack his boots, the refraction bolters, in order to gain go again. And deciding how they want to lead off here. So they did have a blue in hand. baiting their opponent a little bit here. They're going to pitch a blue, activating the Rage Approach Bracers, pumping their attack, and then swinging with the Dawn Blade for 4. Still 1 floating, 1 card in hand, 1 in arsenal. So still a lot of opportunity here to make this attack much higher and get some second hit damage in, allowing them to put a counter on their Dawn Blade. We talked about a little bit in the previous rounds. Getting that counter on the Dawn Blade really changes the math and how you have to defend. So, a Fate we're seeing red coming from the arsenal. Noting here that that's not going to activate Reprise because it came out of the arsenal. So a very good thing for the Prism player. And a little bit of mind gaming by the Orinthia. It looks like all they had in hand was a Sigil, but that doesn't mean that the arsenal card is an attack reaction. But in this case, just going to Sigil, gain 3 life, going up to 20 again. And going back into the Prism player's turn. I'm sorry, I have the life totals backwards. John took 3, and Oscar gained 3. 17 to 23. Alright, so going into the Prism player's turn, 4 card hand. They're going to pitch a yellow to come in with a red Fortune Herald. And that's going to be an attack for 7. And this is a scary part about Prism. The fact that if there's a yellow pitch in their arsenal, all of their attacks have go again from the Luminaris effect really makes it difficult to block. And so, they're choosing not to try at all. So they're just going to take the 7 here, dropping down to 16, and that's going to put that attack into the soul. Then we have the resource that was left floating, plus the resources off of the tunic being used to play a Herald of Protection red. So that's another 7 across. This one is going to on-hit, create a Spectral Shield, and go to the soul. And that Spectral Shield is also going to be able to attack thanks to Luminaris' effect. So this is really more of an attack for 8. But the 8th point is only going to come in if he chooses not to block the 7. And so that's why here he is choosing to block the 7. Doesn't want to give his opponent that Spectral Shield. So 7 blocked. No effects triggered, and just an arsenal pass by the Prism player. Going into the Dorinthia player's turn. 3 card hand. Swinging in with a Dawn Blade for 3. Pitching a blue, 2 resources floating. Prism player saying no blocks. Dorinthia activating Out for Blood. It's going to be a +3 effect, but it's not going to have the reprise effect, so no +1 on the follow-up attack, but that's still going to be 6 points of damage. Yep. Just clarifying the effect here. It's just going to be +3 damage. So just 6. No Gogan currently. No bolters. So unless he also has a glint, not going to get a second swing out of the Dorinthia player this turn. Yep. So no attack or defense reactions. 6 damage coming in. Dropping the Prism player down to 11. And for the final action of his turn, the Dorinthia player is going to activate a Sigil, gaining another 3 life, and putting them back up to 19. Going into the Prism player's turn, we have a Herald of Triumph coming in for 6. And the Dorinthia player getting use of their spicy tech card is going to block with a 7. It's going to break the Phantasm of the Herald of Triumph and cost the go again unless the Prism player chooses to activate Phantasmal Footsteps and pay an extra resources. They choose not to, so they're going to go ahead and activate Prism's Instance ability to create a shield. And then pass back because they lost go again, so they don't have an action point to actually attack with that shield. But they were able to create it, they were able to make use of that card out of their hand and draw you know, an additional card at the end of their turn. So Prism's instant speed ability coming in clutch there. Going into Erythea's turn, we have Iron Song Determination. And that's never what we want to see as the opponent. That's their Dominate Blade attack. So Dom Blade coming in right now for 4 with Dominate. No blocks by the Prism player. As for reactions, the Prism player, or sorry, the Durante player, adding a stroke to it, pumping it up to 7. And it has no go again here, currently. Prism player decided how to block now. So they have a Sink Blow from the arsenal, blocking for 4. And you have to assume a second defense reaction is going to come out of hand, since they chose to use the arsenal one. It chooses not to. So maybe they have unmovable or something in their hand. They want to get into that arsenal zone. Surprised to see. But the Spectral Shield's going to pop and block 1 of the damage. So it's going to be 5 of the 7 prevented and 2 damage coming through. Going into the Prism's player turn, going to take up the Tunic. Puts it at 2 counters. 3 cards in hand. Actually 4, I believe. Because they did not block out of the hand. And maybe that's why. Maybe they have a very aggressive turn here. Maybe this is going to be a big Herald of Erudition turn. And they wanted to maintain as many resources in hand as possible for this big turn. So leading off with a War Tune Herald for 7, pitching a blue. So you have to think pummel here, but no pummel, just 7 coming in. And no go again because it was blue, but using the blue to create a shield. So again, making use of that floating resource, even though they did not actually have go again, thanks to Prism's ability being an instant. Going into the Dorinthia player's turn, he's going to pop Courage of Bladehold and just swing it with the Dawn Blade for 3. Looks like 4 cards in hand and 1 in arsenal. So if I'm the Prism player, I'm not excited. I'm a little worried this turn. Deciding to just use their armor to block all 3 points of damage here. Notably, this is not triggering Reprise. And they still have the 1 point of damage prevention brought to you by the Spectral Shield. The Dorinthia player adding a stroke to it. So that's going to add 3 to it, bringing it up to 6 against the 3 block. So still 3 coming over right now. 1 point blocked by the Spectral Shield. No additional reactions added by the... Yep, and okay, so then just casting Route, adding another 3, bringing it up to 9. No target for the Route because no cards were blocked from hand. And so now we actually have the reaction coming out of the arsenal, Sink Below. They are going to sink a card. So 7 being blocked currently. And then we have a red Overpower as well. Bringing it up to 13. And currently, we have a block for 7 plus a Spectral Shield, so 8 of the 13 being blocked. Can be 5 points of damage coming across. Yep. So 5 points of damage coming across. And, you know, that's a very good decision-making by the Prism player to not trigger Reprise there. Because that turn would have been disgusting if those cards had all had their Reprise effects. So 5 points of damage, dropping down to 4. Passing back to the Prism player. Now, they didn't block with any cards in hand here, so they do get to swing back here. So we have a blue Herald of Protection swinging in for 5 go again. This on hit is going to make a Spectral Shield that will also be able to attack thanks to the yellow card in the pitch zone. So definitely want to block this. So a block of 6 coming down. And with the go again, Prism deciding how they want to play their turn out. It's going to be a blue Illuminate, just coming in for 2. And Darth is going to take that damage, dropping down to 10. But it is going to put the Illuminate into Soul and give them potential to create Spectral Shields in the future. So we'll see if Prism makes it to that point. But going into Dorinthia's turn, we have a red Sharpened Steel coming down, followed up by a Dawnblade attack for 6 currently. And 2 cards in hand, looks like 2 floating. Oh, sorry, no cards in hand, because 2 cards were blocked with on the previous turn. So just the board state is what it is. A 6 attack. You have to assume it's going to see 2 cards out of the Prism player's hand to block. But potentially only 1 and try to regain tempo. Prism player considering it. Yep, looks like they're only going to block 3 of it. Taking 3. Going down to 1. Choosing to try to establish tempo rather than save themselves additional life. Sometimes you gotta risk it for the biscuit, they say, you know? You have to identify the point when you're gonna turn the tides in your favor, and hopefully for Prism, this is gonna be it. So here we have Prism coming in with a deciding how they want to sequence it out. Pitching a yellow to play a blue War Chain Arrow for 5. 1 resource floating. No blocks being declared. So currently 5 coming in, no reactions. So 5 damage coming across, and War Chain Arrow to go into the soul. It did have go again, because of the yellow pitch and the effect of the weapon Luminaris. Then we have a blue pitch to create a Spectral Shield using Prism's ability. And an attack for 1 by the Spectral Shield, which Oscar's going to take, dropping down to 4. And with the floating mana that's left, we have a Herald of Erudition coming in for 5 to dominate. And we're going to see a block of 5 using the armor and a card from hand to prevent that draw trigger. So going into the Dorinthia player's turn, 3 cards in hand. And we're going to see if they can finish it out here. So we have a Spoils into a Dawnblade swing. And that's going to be an attack for 5 with go again. Now, notably here, only 1 card left in the during the player's hand. So you can assume no spicy tech is going to be played this turn. Would not have enough resources to play it out if it is the card in hand. I think they've already used both of them to break Phantasm, which that spicy tech coming in clutch, because breaking Phantasm definitely allows you to keep the tempo in your favor. Trading 1 card for the 1 attack plus whatever the pitch was paid for by your opponent. It's definitely advantageous. So 5 go again. Prism at 1. 1 Spectral Shield, so effectively at 2 life. Choosing a block for 7. And here, during the player has a Twinning Blade. And so this is huge. This will give the Dawnblade the ability to swing again. And so then Dawnblade's going to come back in for 3. It got go again off the Spoils. And it got the ability to swing again off the Twinning Blade. And so that's going to get blocked 3 for 3. And effectively, you know, swinging. Prism is still in a good spot here, though. So on their turn, they're able to activate Prism, create a shield, and then by using a yellow, they're able to swing in with 2 different spectral shields, 1 each. One of them's going to get blocked, the other one's not. So 1 point of damage is going to get through and drop Oscar down to 3. So going into during the player's turn, both players effectively at 3 thanks to the 2 spectral shields owned by the Prism player. So we have a red sharpened steel coming in, followed by a Dawn Blade. So it's going to be an attack for 6. Prism player deciding how they want to block here. I don't think they have any cards left in their soul. I could be wrong here. Hard to tell. So choosing to block for 9 here. And you have to assume the card they kept in the hand is a yellow card, and they're hoping to be able to apply pressure with the spectral shields. Yep, and so block for 9 was good. No effects by the Durante player. Going into the Prism player's turn, they're just going to attack for 1 with the spectral shield. No go again because they did not have a yellow pitch. And this is where it can get painful. We have a Steel Blade Shunt. Coming in. And one second, let me clarify something real quick. I'll be right back. All right, yeah, just clearing up there. The Steel Blade Shunt does deal 1 damage, and his opponent was at 1, but it's just going to destroy one of the spectral shields. It's not going to actually complete the game. And so now we have a Dawn Blade for 3 coming in. And a block for 3. And adding on an Iron Song response. Putting it up to 6. His opponent effectively at 2 life right now, so he'll need a defense reaction to stay alive. And yeah, we have a Soul Shield, bringing the block up to 9. And then going into the Dorinthia player's turn again. Or sorry, Dorinthia player ending the turn, going into the Prism player's turn. 2 cards in hand here. So Prism coming in with a Herald of Ravages for 6. Okay, so gonna pop his Dreamweavers and then come in with the Ravages for 6. And no go again here because he pitched a blue. So no cards in hand, not enough resources to make a Spectral Shield. So you know this attack is the full attack that the Prism player is going to be able to mount this turn. And there's still a 2 life effectively, 1 plus the 1 Spectral Shield. So Durant are really hoping to be able to block this and still swing back in a way that's going to force a interaction by the Prism player. It's going to be hard on a 2-card hand, though, fortunately. Durant the player doing the quick math to decide what cards to block with. That's going to allow them the maximum damage potential on the following turn, because every point of damage is going to matter on this next turn. Yeah, blocking for 6. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the Dreamweaver's activation coming in clutch here, because he definitely had the attack to break there, but with the Dreamweavers, he was able to save it. Going into the during the player's turn, they're just going to dominate for 3, pitching a blue, and this is kind of the setup turn. They want to arsenal this card, and then follow up with a 5-card hand, hopefully on the following turn. So here we have a pitch by the Prism player to Phantasmal Footsteps and Cataclysm here. So it's going to be a block for 4 on the 3. The player deciding if they want to go for it now or wait, and it looks like they're going to go for it. So we have a Seeing Steel Blade, only 1 floating right now. Grabbing a red Alpha Blood, pumping it up. Pumping it up to 7. So unless there's a defense reaction in the Prism player's hand, this is going to be 3 points of damage coming over. He can make a Spectral Shield and block effectively 6 points of it, and the 1 point's going to come through. Yeah. So that's gonna be it. That's gonna be the one. Yeah. So that's gonna be the 7. It's gonna be the final damage, and that's gonna wrap it for today's event. We had 6 rounds of coverage. It was a blast, and definitely come and join us in future events. Anyways, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.